Dylan, thank you so much for taking time out of your social distancing to chat about your new comic book series, Sun Eater. This is an original story with true roots. How are you describing Sun Eater? What's your elevator pitch that I know you've got down?
Oh, in truth, I'm not the best elevator pitcher. I have ADHD, so I talk away until the elevator doors open. But, to simplify it and boil it down, I would say that Sun Eater is about a drug addict father who makes a deal with the gods, sacrificing his own leg for this otherworldly power in order to save his son from the first ever king of Norway, historically really existed, Harold Fairhair, and his 5 guards. So in doing so, what kind of results is a very dark and bloody and a little bit sexual story as well, given the nature of heavy metal, which is kind of a perfect union in this way, that is, a dark metaphor for drug addiction and also how these things pass on to our children. So that's the best elevator pitch I can give you. Hopefully it's a short elevator ride.
You did a great job.
Thank you. I haven't rehearsed.
It's almost like you've been working on this for 5 years or something. This project has really allowed you to open up to your fans and really share a different side with them that you haven't really opened up about. You said that this main character is kind of based off of your mom. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, and I won't go into too many details because I do feel like the story actually speaks for itself in a lot of these regards. And I encourage people to read it if they want to know more about this avenue, but I don't really generally, this is just me, I don't talk about things, and I should probably do better about this personally, but I don't really talk about stuff like this unless I give myself a lot of time to think about it and ruminate on it, right? So my own mother is influencing the main character basically one for one in a lot of ways. Besides it being very obviously fantasy, there is a lot of one for one. So his interactions with other characters, his compulsions, his ability or inability to kind of navigate in the world around him is really all informed by real life happenings that I've encountered with my own mother. And I think in that way, it, after posting the post I did recently and talking a little bit about this same thing, I had a huge amount of comments, not only overwhelming support, but also people who are in similar situations and have grown up in similar households. And I found that really, really nice. And what I hope for Sun Eater in general is that not only is it a story that's interesting and entertaining to people who like this kind of genre, but also that it's a little bit of a cautionary tale, and it's a little bit, it empathizes with people who were raised in similar situations, and that creates a dialogue between all of us to a degree.
Yeah. Have you been able to share Sun Eater with your family already? Maybe shared it with your mom?
I've shared it with my brother and my father, definitely. Not my mother, no. But again, since I've been writing it for 5 years, I've been talking about it for quite some time. So my family oftentimes will do readings, especially my brother and I, right? So we've been doing readings of Sun Eater over the years, and as I've continued to get more artwork back and I've formulated a little more, a lot of the times these conversations that we have about the subject matter are what fuels the next episode or issue that I've been writing. So it's been a lot of talk and a lot of refining.
Do you feel like Sun Eater put you in a dark place or helped you emerge from one, or was a little bit of both?
That's a good question. I think it's definitely a little bit of both. I think in order to emerge out of it with a more objective and clear mindset, I needed to dive into it a little more. And I think I was afraid of doing that for a very long time before I started writing Sun Eater. I was kind of turning my eyes away from it so that I didn't have to deal with it or look it directly in the face. And when I did, and I gave myself a lot of time to formulate my thoughts on it, it helped me come to peace with a lot of it. And, I finished writing, for example, I finished revising, I should say, the final episode last week. So I'm still writing it, and I still have changes and new things that I come to. If it was up to me, I'd probably be writing it the rest of my life. I just also know that it needs to get out there at some point or another.
I am so thrilled and excited about this new project for you because you've been working on this for more than 5 years now. Why a comic book? Why have this be your next avenue in your career?
Well, yeah, thank you. It's interesting. You know, I started writing this 5 years ago because I was kind of in a place mentally where I felt like I needed to get some sort of story out for myself to better understand the scenario that was happening. And so I started writing something that I just knew I loved, which was fantasy genre, and I thought that I could kind of place the setting around the idea in an interesting way. So I started writing it like that, but I actually intended it to be live action. And when I started writing it and intending it to be live action, I realized that it was restricting me from making it the way I envisioned it, because I was, in the back of my mind, I was thinking about things like budget, and I was thinking about like how physically someone would even do these things. So I actually just changed gears completely, and I ended up writing it for comics and for animation. And I found that my thoughts were much more free-flowing at that point. I was able to do things I wasn't able to do before, and furthermore, I felt like I was able to more accurately represent, in a weird way, what I was hoping to get across with the content.
When you take a step back and you look at it as a whole, which would you feel, has it been more challenging, more rewarding? Like, how are you feeling about it as it's about to come out to the world?
I quickly realized that when I was writing it, that this story was only in part my own, right? That I was writing this not from a perspective of, you know, what I think that interaction was like, but really what I hoped that interaction could have been, right? And how I hoped that in this way the main character, Kveldulf, could have been or had the same amount of, I guess, dexterity and follow through with their ideals that my mother didn't have. So I think it has been challenging, yes, but it's very cathartic.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I really hope is that when people read this, and if they want to support, which I hope that they do, and they click the link after this and they end up buying an issue or getting the set, I hope that they read it, and they read it for what it is, which is a personal story that hopefully extends a little greater than that. Mm-hmm. That it's cautionary, and that it says something about that style of writing. It says something about that experience, and they take away something from it. And if they don't, that's okay, because I still was able to get it out and hopefully grow from the story. And that's really all I hope for it. So all in all, I think that it has been less challenging, more rewarding.